Hey guys, welcome to the Kaiju.Hunters YouTube channel. Today we got something special for you. We got not one, but two manual Hellcats. This one being full bolt-on, this one being totally stock. We're going to be talking about whether you should or should not full bolt-on your Hellcat and all the pros and cons that kind of go along with doing these mods and how it changes the car totally. Because I can tell you right now, this is a different animal from what this is. But not all of it's good gravy. There's some downsides, but we'll get into that later on. But first, let's just check these cars out. Sure are. It's double deep out here. And throwing iron sides.
Double deep is crazy.
The weather is a little colder since our last filming, so I don't think traction's gonna be very good, just a heads up. But we're gonna get some action shots real quick, just to really put into perspective what these cars are like.
In manual.
Yep, in a manual, because everyone knows how an automatic Hellcat is. Everyone's seen 1,000 horsepower automatics. But we are, again, in the 6-speed manual 2018 Challenger.
And the one in front of us is the 6-speed manual 2015. Both blue. This one's full bolt-on. That one is stock. So
we're going to be leaving traction control in track mode right now. We're going to see how that does. It's not going to hook, let's be honest.
It's not going to hook. No, hell no.
50 degrees out right now. When we originally were filming, I think it was 80s, 90s. So the road was pretty warm, tires were warm. Do we dare try first gear?
No. Well.
I think we shot a ginormous flame.
There's a 100% a fireball somewhere.
Probably broke Terrence's eardrums, more than likely.
And Terrence's car, aka Sketchy McPee.
I don't think he even accelerated. I think he hit the gas and just stayed still.
For reference, Terrence is still running on the factory 275s from Dodge.
From 2015.
Yeah.
Mind you. We've already told him he needs to get new tires. He's stubborn.
We'll call it Sketchy Cat.
Yeah.
So, and then we're riding on the nice little sticky slicks on this one.
Yep.
So, Jesus. Then you just go and put it in the 6 and the thing just drives like a normal...
Like out of the factory.
Like a normal couch with a motor.
1,000 horsepower couch.
1,000 horsepower couch with a motor.
You know we have to have those crispy rev matches.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that thing. Look at him go. Did you get that?
I did. Oh my God. Sketchy. Bad sketchy.
All I can smell is his tires. Yeah, go ahead and comment and tell Terrence to fucking buy new tires.
As a matter of fact, in the comments, just tell us what tires to get.
Yeah.
How about that? I say that, and we got...
He's gonna put some ling longs on it.
Not the ling logs.
Get a little shot of these performance pages.
Ooh, supercharger is crispy. That leg maker's letting you know what's up.
Sure is.
God, oh, this sounds so good.
Love that sound.
Oh my God! Jesus!
You about fell out of your seat.
I did. What the F and H? Neither one of these things have any traction. It's crazy. You goon! Oh my God! Crazy. Both of these things are nutty. All right, guys, I think we're gonna end it here. Jesus.
All right, guys, so starting with the Hellcat overview video of the twin 6-speed Hellcats. I've got behind me my twin brother, the fellow Kaiju Hunter, with his Panthro 2015 6-speed Hellcat. So I'll let him kind of do a walk around the car, introduce it, and talk about kind of the story behind it and what he plans to do with the vehicle overall. So take it away. This is Panthro. Tell us about the name, actually.
Yeah, so the name Panthro was kind of something a little clever. I think we came up with it probably not too long after we bought the car, but this has such a unique color. This 2015 6-speed Hellcat, and it has just under 10,000 miles on it, so it's unique in that sense. It gets
Now when you bought it, right? So you bought it with 2,300, right? So you bought it basically as a brand new car a couple of years ago, huh?
Yeah.
Sweet.
It's owned by an older couple, believe it or not. So eventually, yours truly behind the camera here, we were in the gym. It was probably 3 a.m. in the morning, and then he just randomly brings up, why don't you just, what about, the challenges that you always liked? I said, well, that might be a possibility. He goes, you can always get a Hellcat. Sure enough, he starts going on Auto Trader, you name it, looking at these cars, and he knew I liked B5 Blue. So we're in the middle doing sets, doing all these things, and he just keeps on bringing up these Hellcats. And he found a couple, but then he found this one.
And specifically, we were searching for one that was 6-speed, low miles.
Yep.
Adult driven, adult owned.
Yeah, and that's one of those things, because it's hard to find these cars that are in good condition that haven't been beaten up.
Yep.
We ended up finding this one. It was pretty close to where we live, and I couldn't sleep that night. I remember I said, you know what? I'm waking up at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. The second they open, I'm on the phone, and we're gonna see what we can do. And he hops in the car with me. And at first I was just gonna go take a look at the car. the closer we got, my decisions kept changing. First it was, I'm just gonna go take a look. If I like it, I might go and just come back for a second look. Well, you know what, instead of doing a second look, I might just go put a deposit on it, come back later this week and pick it up. Oh, well, you know what, if I really like it, I'm just going ahead and bring it home today. And that's kind of what ended up happening. Absolutely nothing's been done to this car except for a Barton shifter. Outside of that, and then
those Barton shifters are sweet.
The Barton shifter, it feels, and that's actually, if I had to say there's one thing you have to do to these 6-speed cars, get rid of the stock shifter. The stock shifter is absolute trash. It has too much play in it going into the gear. It doesn't give enough responsive feel. It doesn't give you confidence. It doesn't give you anything. Change the shifter, change your life. So yep. Even if you want to just keep it just the way it is, change that shifter.
Now you also did the 1st to 4th lockout as well, right?
Yeah, the 1st to 4th eliminator.
Yep.
And so outside of that, mid pipes, everything, the whole car is completely stock.
And this B5 blue, I know on a camera here it looks black, but this is jazz blue, excuse me. So this jazz blue, it looks black on camera, but it is this dark kind of metallic navy blue with a almost gives like a purple pearl, like a purple pearl kind of look.
Yeah, it's more of a purple looking color.
One thing I've always disliked was the tire choice. The tires I think are too narrow for the car with this type of power. 707 stock car with 275. I think that's a little bit but there you go guys, interior of the car with that nice Barton shifter sitting right there. Why 6-speed? Like
all
what
right.
was why you know,
6-speed?
out of the sea of, you know, automatic cars, they're fast, you know, they run pretty well, so what brings your attention to a 6-speed car?
First of all, because almost everything I own is going to be a manual. And so, I mean, that's first and foremost. But something very particular about these big body cars, and make no mistake about it, you know, everybody loves to call these cars yachts and big boats and things like that. It is everything that you said it was. It's true. It's a big ass car.
Mm-hmm.
However, I grew up, as a matter of fact, the first car I ever owned was a 64 SS Impala. And
so you're used to kind of big 4-speed,
body,
yeah.
Big B body, 4-speed, Muncie. And so I always liked those big old cars, and then you being able to be at the helm in full control. So, you know, I almost treat the car exactly like it is. You know, land yacht, yeah, I treat it just like that. And there's something just pure about, you know, having full control with a full manual on this car.
So intention is to probably be like Ironsides, and I think this is kind of the point of the video. Ironsides is the Indigo 6-speed Hellcat that we're going to show just here in a minute, with the 900 wheel horsepower, just insane car. But I think you've got a parts list already, right?
Yeah.
You've already curated some goodies, huh?
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things, especially with the Ironsides car and this one. The big difference on Ironsides is very heavily modded. And, well, it's full bolt-on. You know, it has the pulley, it has the headers, it has the drive shaft and different things like that, and it makes a lot of power with a very few modifications that need to be done to it. This one being fully stock, but also I wanted to be able to show you guys that, you know, you really don't have to do a lot to these cars to make a lot of power. So yeah, I've been stockpiling some parts. You know, I've been working with HP tuners. So for my tune, for a 4-inch drive shaft, you know, you gotta put the diff brace on there, right? So I don't care, even if you keep the car stock. Honestly, I kind of feel like the diff brace is a must. You know, Dodge really pushed the envelope.
Yeah, they're kind of on the limiting edge, right? So so you've got some parts, and you got the injectors, like you said, you got the drive shaft already, ECU, pulleys, and everything. I think the only thing we're waiting on is the fuel pump, and a little bit, we got to get one of the other major Kaijus we'll be bringing to the channel here pretty soon back out of the garage before we pull this guy in, do the bolt-ons. We'll probably leave it as a bolt-on car, not go too much further beyond that. I think just kind of
nightmares are gonna
the JDM nightmares would be more than enough for everything else we want to do. But obviously just a fun car, and you know, I think part of the messaging too is you don't really have to do a lot, right? You literally can buy these cars stock, leave them stock, and have loads of fun,
Now,
right?
That's one thing I will say, especially with these early model Hellcats. They're a bit more raw than the newer ones, you know. So you don't have the line locks and some of those little creature comforts in the early model Hellcats that you do in the late model Hellcats that you got after 2018 and up. So this car definitely, probably the best way to explain it is almost like a Jekyll and Hyde, right? It is it's easy to drive, it's predictable, as long as you don't abuse it. But then when you do, it lets you know. You know, it's almost like an on and off switch. It's probably the easiest way to explain it, and it definitely feels like that. The car is very unruly when you let it go. So you know, it's just about knowing the car and knowing what you want to do with it and respect it. I do not like driving this car on the stock wheels, stock tires in the rain. It's just you know, that's not the time that you want to
Goose it and everything. Yeah.
It'll get away from you quick.
It's kind of inconspicuous because the only way you really know it's a Hellcat, especially these early ones, is the badge is only in 2 spots, right? You only have them right there on the finish, on the fenders, right? Because they're not in the front, they're not in the back, so people see it going down the road. They just think it's kind of a plain, or I shouldn't say plain, but they think it's an SRT, right? Like a.
And honestly, a lot of people think that you slap the Hellcat stickers to these, and you know, just keep in mind that a lot of your Hellcat livery didn't exist until after 2017.
Right, when they actually started badging the cars a little bit more aggressively, right? So, but let's do a brief ride along and prove that's a Hellcat.
Yeah, let's prove it.
All right, so we are inside of the 2015 stock SRT Hellcat, playing some good old Jesus music. But we'll do a kind of a brief ride along, do a little whiny noises, you know, things like that, just to show that it is a Hellcat.
Stock clutch, stock everything.
First thing you notice, it's quiet.
Very.
Right? It's actually a compliant car. Feels nice. Feels clean, crispy.
Everything in this car is big. Look at just the size of the dash, right? This car is just massive. No matter where you look at it.
Heard that whine, y'all? It's a Hellcat.
It's a Hellcat. That's exactly what I mean. It definitely, and keep in mind, these cars are stock, and it's said that Dodge was not exactly truthful about the capabilities of the early Hellcats. Like I said, most of the cars were a little bit more uncorked. That's probably a good way to say it. Probably a little bit more unruly at times, and you can definitely tell. And so right now we still got traction control on, all those good things.
And you need it on these 275s, huh?
You need it on these.
And that's just part throttle, huh?
Yeah. You can see this car will get you in trouble quick. So again, everybody wants to talk about it not being fast. Let me tell you something. Any car can be fast enough to put you in jail.
That sounds like a speech or a sermon right there. Say it for the people in the back.
Any car can be fast enough to put you in jail. So just remember that. Take
all you ego junkies out there that think that, oh no, 700 horsepower is not a lot. Okay, yeah, let 5.0 catch you. You trying to use that 700 on the street.
and
5.0's is cops for those young people that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, by the way.
So, you know, like I said, the car just it definitely has its quirks. It has the things that it does well. There are certain things that you could probably do better. But keep in mind that everything about this car feels large, and I do mean everything about this car feels absolutely massive.
But not that throw though, because that Barton shifter is just doing the thing.
The Barton shifter, like I said, if I were to keep this car absolutely just bone stock and not do anything else to it, I would still go put the shifter in there. Not really sold on the black yet. I'm still working on that.
On the black knob.
Yeah, it's all weighted. This all came with Barton. You know, they're not the cheapest shifters in the world, but by God, are they not, you know, some of the nicer ones that you can find. And you know, it's tried, true, it's tested. It has just almost nearly unlimited adjustment that you can do to it. And you know, I found that the instructions to put it in were very simple, it's very straightforward, to the point, and you know, it just worked out. That was pretty cool.
little drifto.
I told you. The other person right behind me is probably like, "What the hell is he doing?"
Obviously, we're drifting in a Hellcat.
Obviously, we're debauchery has become a part of the word of the day.
All right, guys. So, I think with that, we're gonna close out, right? Just with our kind of take of the manual Hellcat, but subscribe to the channel, watch this thing as we build it. We're going to go through the build process of putting together a bolt-on Hellcat, putting a bolt-on Hellcat together, and we'll talk about what to buy, what not to buy, and kind of take you guys along the journey. But up next, we're going to go through a fast car, or faster car.
Ouch.
This is fast. This is fast, but we got one that's real fast. So up next, we got Iron Sights, which is coming up right now.
All right, guys. So to start off, we're going to be going over what it means to be full bolt-on. So for me, that means that we're staying with the stock blower that came on the car. This is still a 2.4, hasn't been ported. Everything in this blower is stock as it would come from the factory. So let's go over the mods that we did to it. So ported snout with a port match throttle body. This is a 108 Kong. And then we have a 272 upper pulley. Grip Tech. We have ID 1300s. Some preventative stuff we did, one of which being the crank pin mod, which is super important on these cars. Not saying you have to do it, but if you want to keep this thing running, definitely do the crank pin. It's pretty cheap. Came out to be like $100. Fuel's a big thing. So with this car, we went to dual Hellcat pumps, 525s. This car is on flex fuel, so we run FlexLink on it, which means I can run any mixture of E85 or 93, because E85 isn't so easy to find all the time. Around here, thankfully, it's pretty easy, but you know, if I ever wanted to road trip this car, I could take it anywhere, put any kind of fuel in it that I wanted, and be safe to run. So another preventative thing we did was a 180 thermostat, so that's going to lower our operating temperatures down to 180 degrees. That requires tuning to make it work like that, but very important to do. Huge preventative thing with these Hellcats is a one-piece drive shaft. I don't know if we're going to be able to get under here and see it, but we have a Wiles 4-inch one-piece drive shaft under this car. Let's see if we can get under there and check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty low, man.
Probably not.
No.
But there's a one-piece drive shaft under there. Take my word for it. This car being a 6-speed manual over here, as you can see, they did come like that, believe it or not. This car needed an upgraded clutch, so we went with McLeod RTX twin disc, which is more than enough for the power. I've had this car at the track. Clutch rolls out very good and holds the power great. Along with doing the clutch, this car has about 50,000 miles. So we did, you know, the pilot bearing and the slave cylinder along with that. Another preventative thing, again, this car being 50,000 miles, we went ahead and just replaced all the spark plugs. It's something to think about if you're doing full bolt-on. It's pricey, but you know, something to think about. You want to save your engine. 250 bucks isn't that much in the long run.
And it's a Hemi, so it's 16 spark plugs.
It does get a little pricey because it's 16, but well worth the money for sure. Something controversial with this car that a lot of people don't do is I went with an inner chiller instead of an ice tank, because obviously we want to keep our temperatures pretty low in the intercooler bricks. So for me, I didn't personally want to have to mess around with bags of ice all the time. You know, nobody does.
So what's particularly controversial about the difference between those two?
Because inner chillers are expensive. I'll tell you right now, this setup, the IC was about $2,100 for the full inner chiller setup. And for me, because I drive this car regularly, I mean, you can contest, I drive it all the time. You know, I put tons of miles on this thing. I still retain my factory air conditioning. And well, let's go over what the IC does. So if you're not familiar, the inner chiller, what it does is it connects to your factory air conditioning, and it uses that refrigerant to cool off your intercooler. So these intercooler bricks are being cooled through your air conditioner, which is awesome. I mean, so if we come over here, I'll show you real quick. We have, come on back here. We have 2 little switches in there. And those switches in the bottom left, those are gonna be our different settings for our inner chiller. One of which leaving the factory cabin AC going, and then the second one being our drag valve, which puts all of the refrigerant straight to the inner chiller. So it'll make it as cold as possible. And I can tell you right now, these things work. I mean, on a 100-degree day, I'm seeing temperatures in my intercooler as low as 30 degrees.
Wow.
30 degrees. And that's crazy. I mean, you're not gonna see that in an ice tank. So that was huge for me. I mean, it's definitely a price jump. Ice tanks are much cheaper, but definitely something to consider if you guys are looking into, you know, should I do ice tank or inner chiller? My opinion, if you drive the car, do an inner chiller. You'll stay cool and you'll still win races. Next on our list here, we have the billet diff race. So these Hellcats, the weak links with them really seem to be the drive shafts, and then these differentials, they seem to wheel hop very bad when you don't have a brace on them. Under here we should be able to check it out. It's a really, really nice piece. About $700 I think, but beautiful billet brace down there. Yeah, you can see that.
Oh yeah.
Very good piece, and that's gonna keep you from wheel hopping or breaking any differentials when we don't want to. Which is important, because we don't want to break differentials.
No, that's not
certainly not. So we have, again, drivetrain stuff. Obviously, with the kind of power we're putting down, this car's making about 900 wheel on E85. We need the tires, and to do these 17-inch wheels, you need to shorten the end lengths. Pretty cheap, but something you have to consider. This car also is tuned on Diablo. Some people use HP tuners, but my tuner recommended Diablo to keep FlexLink working good, so that's what I have.
Did you upgrade the fuel pumps?
There's 2 Hellcat pumps.
Gotcha.
2 525 Hellcat pumps, but the only thing we have to upgrade in there is the dual hanger setup, so it has to be able to hold 2 pumps now instead of just 1. Coming back up to the front here, another mod, since we went down in pulley size, you have to do an idler. And this is something to think about. A lot of guys, they'll run these JLT catch cans and they'll mount around here somewhere. You cannot run those with this idler. So I went with a UPR catch can, and these mount over on the fender. Honestly, they're a lot better design. You're paying about double. This was about $330, but very nice catch can. Everything mounts. I mean, this took me 5 minutes to install. Great piece to have. Another preventative thing, I think when you're running big boost cars, they should come stock with a catch can, but they don't. So first thing you do when you get a Hellcat, think about a catch can, and I would recommend UPR for sure. We have the leg maker intake on this one. Very shiny, nice piece. Everybody loves these intakes because personally, I think they sound the best.
Good whiny noises.
They sound the best. We'll put a sound clip in the video of our camera mounted right here on the intake, and you'll hear it for yourself. It's definitely a sound to behold. Another big ticket item on the car, we kind of talked about it a little bit, is the bead locks. I can tell you from personal experience, the stock tires that come on these cars are not enough for stock horsepower. So you really need to look into getting a good set. You don't have to go crazy like welds. These are super expensive wheels, but I just bought them because the look. I mean, this is one of my favorite. How wide are
these?
These wheels are, I think these wheels are 11 wide, but these tires are only 305s. So we're going to be going a little wider because even now these tires do not hook. So we will be going a little wider on the next set of tires, but for now we're going to use these. But like I said, even on a stock Hellcat, like as you can see with Terrence's car over here, these tires, they're not big enough for the power that you're putting down.
275 on a 700 horsepower factory car.
Not nearly big enough. So yeah, that's another first mod you should look into on your Hellcat. You're going to be spending money on tires, but that's half the fun, you know?
Yeah.
You don't want to be spinning. So tires and wheels, definitely something to look into. Also got to buy some lug nuts with them when you do this conversion. You can't run these factory lug nuts. Another major mod, so this is only for you manual guys. If you're thinking about a manual, we can just check it out in Terrence's car real quick. We both have the same Barton shifter. This is a necessity. So these stock Hellcat shifters, I haven't heard anybody that has liked them, but these Bartons, I mean, we can check it out real quick. This is one of the nicest shifters I have ever seen. Very notchy, very easy. I mean, the shifts are perfect in this thing, but the factory shifter is just not good. So if you guys are looking at a manual Hellcat, don't let that steer you away. This is about a $500 mod, but it's one of the first things that everyone does to their cars if it's a manual. But this is a huge upgrade right here. But both these cars have them. Last but not least, for the mods, this car is on Demon Killer springs. So just I think it's about a 1/4 inch drop from stock, so I'm slightly lower than this car, but they're just kind of some drag tune springs, more similar to the Demons. Ride quality, pretty much the same. They're a little more plush than a stock spring, which is nice for street driving, but you still have the active dampening, which comes factory on these cars, so you can tune it kind of however you want. And the only other thing to mention is tuning costs. I think probably anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 just in tuning. And then big ticket, what did all of that cost? Now, it's not an insignificant amount of money, but when you compare what this does on the street, I mean, you can speak for how it feels on the street.
Oh yeah.
It's quite a bit different than this car.
Yep.
Our total for this car, not including labor, because most of this stuff you could do yourself minus the tuning, total cost is $22,040. But for me, 900 horsepower for 20 grand is not that bad. There's a lot of guys that'll spend a lot more for a lot less. You know what I mean? And we can get straight into reliability. This car has, since I've owned it, I drive my cars regularly and I drive them hard. This thing has been a dream. No issues other than just doing regular maintenance, changing the oil and making sure everything's taken care of. You can beat on this car all day. It doesn't overheat, doesn't make any funny noises, and you can still take it to the grocery store. This is a full interior car and it's fast. So something to weigh in.
Yeah, I think that's something to note about these Hellcats too, is they're comfortable, right? They're probably some of the most comfortable, you know, fast cars out there, in my opinion, right?
Get a shot of the seats. Everyone talks about these cars being boats, but most of that comes from the interior quality. Personally, in my opinion, you compare this to a Mustang GT or, even a ZL1 Camaro. They're not nearly as plush on the inside. This is one of the nicest interiors I think Dodge has ever done.
Yeah, for sure.
These seats, it's like riding in a Cadillac, I say that metaphorically because I like this interior better than a Cadillac CTS-V. And that's pretty crazy. This thing's very, very comfortable. And
it comes at a cost. It weighs a lot, right?
Yeah. But that's one of these.
It's something you can live with.
That's one of these things that a lot of these guys talk about Mopars being too heavy. If you really do straight up just want to go fast, I mean, you can strip these interiors and shave, you know, 600-700 pounds, and that's not exaggerating. If you really gutted this thing out and wanted to make a race car, it's doable. But most of us guys, like most of the guys watching this video, I'm sure you want to drive your cars, you want to enjoy them, and still be fast. This is my pick, and we'll kind of jump into the road test, and we'll show you what it's like to drive a full bolt-on Hellcat, and we'll talk about some of the pros and cons of what comes with that. But yeah, let's jump into the road test.
There you go.
Alrighty guys, so we are over here in the full bolt-on Hellcat. Some of the things we did want to talk about, for me, a con with the manual Hellcat, this one specifically, not when you have a stock one. When you go do your full bolt-ons, you obviously need to do a clutch. So with this twin disc, my main gripe with it is that it is like an on and off switch. It's very difficult to get going. It chatters, and if you've driven a stock manual Hellcat, you can speak that it's a pretty easy, pretty forgiving car to drive. The twin disc takes most of that away, and it took me probably a week to relearn how to drive this car. Not a huge deal, not a deal breaker. It's still very drivable. I still drive the car very often, but something to think about. You will lose some of that drivability, and you'll be beating yourself up if you do get stuck in traffic, no doubt. And you will have a few awkward, I stalled the car in front of people, and I'm a little embarrassed now as you relearn how to drive the car. Not a big deal though, just something to consider. And as we drive, we'll also talk about this car has 2" by 3" headers, has no mid mufflers, no catalytic converters, and we are still very quiet on the road. The only thing that it retains is the factory rear mufflers that are valved, but this car, no drones, it's not too loud, pretty tame.
Did you get rid of the stupid first to fourth?
No, that is something that I would like to get rid of, is the skip shift, but we'll get there. And for me, Terrence will probably have some of the same points to hit on his Hellcat. I bought the manual not to be the fastest, not to be the baddest on the street or whatever, but just to have an enjoyable experience. I think this might be a little controversial to say, but I think Dodge nailed it. This is the modern muscle car, and it's probably the best modern muscle car, because it's not about track handling, it's not about you know, who's the fastest around the Nürburgring. This is horsepower and comfortable, and you know, that's really all I want. That's what most people want. I don't know many guys that are taking their high horsepower cars to a track, you know. I wanted a high horsepower car to enjoy and to drive it on the weekends and go to car meets and, you know, do some hood rat shit with my friends. But let's do a little second gear pull.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Let's turn traction control off, because we're gonna need to do that. So about 2,500 RPM. Let's nail it.
Impressions on the pool. Wow.
It not many 900 horsepower cars hook as well as this does. That's due to the weight. That's something to consider when you want, because everybody that wants a fast car, they want to have that 1,000 horsepower. I'll be the first to tell you that I want 1,000 horsepower, but it's very hard to use that kind of power on the street. Very hard to put it down, and even when you are putting it down, you're using a set of, you know, those tires in the back are 450 a piece, and I'll tell you, they do not last long. So 1,000 horsepower gets to be a little pricey in a lot of different ways. So is it fun? Yes, but the money is definitely a con.
Well, the real question is, can you have just as much fun on the horsepower that you're on? I think the answer is yes.
Oh yeah,
Right?
I mean, you can have fun in a 200 horsepower car if you're driving it to the limit, but this, for me, is where I want to be right now. You know, obviously there's more we could do, but for the money that's spent on this car, I don't think you could really do better than this. It's still very drivable, still very tame, and very quiet. Considering we only have those 2 rear mufflers, this is a very quiet car to drive.
Yeah, like I'm noticing, obviously full exhaust, but we're able to have a regular conversation.
Yep.
No problem, right?
And that's with those factory valves in there. So once we go over 2,000 RPM, I think it is the valves will open up, and at that point it's practically straight pipe. So it does get a little bit louder, but it's not unbearable. It's very tame still. The manual Hellcat. Is it better or worse than an automatic? I think that's totally up for debate on what you want to use the car for. If you're just, you know, a weekend warrior that wants to have fun and go on some cruises and really enjoy your car, I think the manual's for you. If you're trying to set some lap records, or, you know, really set some good times on a track, and you're only concerned with consistency and going as fast as possible, you probably want an automatic. But for me, the driving experience was the selling point on this. There's no active rev matching like the Camaros have. It's just you and the car, and that's really what I like. And it feels good, and you feel connected to the car. It's the epitome of what a muscle car should be. You know, Dodge has always been very good with that, with, you know, the Viper, very driver-centered car. And I think a manual Hellcat is essentially the same thing. Not as raw, obviously, but the same idea. Very driver-oriented car, but you keep a lot of those comforts that you want to have in something that you're driving every day, because, you know, like I said, you can still drive this car every day. One of the cons with that, other than you know, tire cost and lack of traction, is fuel mileage. If you come over here, we have a little over a half tank right now, and here, I'll take this. We have a little over a half tank, and we are at 77 miles of range. And folks, I'll tell you, that is not good. We'll go over to our fuel economy here. Average MPG is 9.5. And I know, hey, it's a muscle car, we don't really care about gas mileage, but when you're putting miles on a car like this and driving it as much as I do, you spend a lot of time at the gas station. I'll tell you right now, I know where all the E85 stations are around me, and I don't stray too far from them if I'm low on fuel. Even though I can use 93, we want to keep it on 85, make all the power possible, right? Yep. Fuel mileage, something to consider. It is very poor on fuel. So it gets significantly louder as we move towards the back, obviously. As you can see, these tires are fighting for whatever traction they can get, but simply not enough. And see if we can. So we're idling right now with our inner chiller on. The AC is going in the cabin. It's still pretty cool. And our intercooler temps are at 57 degrees, and our outside temperature is 82. So that is very, very good. Wow. And we don't have to worry about any ice. Nope.
No
ice.
for ice bags, none of that.
Yep.
Let's talk about this color.
Yeah, this color, one of the main reasons I bought it was I love this color. And it just really gives this car a presence. Depending on whatever angle you look at it, what time of day it is, it's a different shade, and it's just captivating. Beautiful color, and also very unique. Same with Terrence's car, very unique colors. You know, don't get me wrong, I love the typical Dodge colors like Go Mango, and you know, even a black looks really good on these cars, but this is my favorite color, personally.
This is indigo, right?
Yep, indigo.
Emphasis on the go.
Yep. All right, well, folks, I think now is the time we give somebody who is unbiased a chance to drive a full bolt-on Hellcat, and you can give us your impressions.
All right.
Alrighty.
And for reference, I am not a Hellcat guy. I'm not a Mopar guy. I drive Camaros and other things. So I'll leave the Mopar experience to Terrence and you, but this is completely... Actually, that clutch is not as... Okay, all right. That clutch is not as bad as I thought.
No, but perspectively from a stock Hellcat to this, it's very different.
Yes, a stock Hellcat, driving my brother's car, or Terrence's car, yeah, this one feels a little bit more twitchy, but it's not terrifying, right?
No. So there's a big misconception with V8 cars, and having a big clutch makes it hard to drive. I can tell you right now, the easiest clutch I've ever had on a manual car was in my 3rd gen Dodge Viper.
Really?
Very, very easy. So really the size of the clutch and the engine doesn't make a difference on how the clutch feels, really. That's just by design, how they designed it.
Part and shifter is, guys,
We can't stress that enough. Yeah, we cannot stress that enough.
spend the money.
So
Yeah.
if you are going to look at a manual Hellcat, if you are blessed enough to have the opportunity to drive one, do not let that manual shifter that comes on it stock steer you away, because these are readily available, these Bartons, and it changes the game. Yeah, so yeah, there's that twin disc. You feel it now.
Oh yeah. I lied.
Yep, it'll get you.
But once you get going, like, it's, you know,
It feels mostly like a stock car.
it feels like a stock car.
That's
Yeah.
essentially what a full bolt-on car should be. It shouldn't be much different from stock feeling. It's just when you really put the pedal down is when you notice that, hey, you know, this has a lot more than a stock Hellcat would. And so to clear the record here, Terrell here has never driven this car. You have driven Terrence's a few times probably.
Yep. This is you are watching me learn as we go, and you know, I'll say this: I've been in some fast automatics, I've been in some fast cars, but you can literally just live stream. Just the learning curve with this car is not that bad.
Yeah, so obviously you have a lot of experience driving a manual, but you've never been behind the wheel of this car, so this is all new for you.
Yeah.
And you know, we've had no issues so far. Just, it's not much different from a stock car, and that's what we love, really.
No, for sure. You know, it again, to your point, it should feel natural.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well, you know, we're gonna have to give it a second gear pull over here on this undisclosed location, so
We'll check our bearings and.
yep. You might be able to swing a right and go that way if you want.
Actually, it's a pretty nice road.
Oh, there's the stall. First one.
Oh my God!
See?
All right, you were in line.
You got room. Oh.
Get behind him because I don't know who that person is.
Yep, so that's our first stall, ladies and gentlemen. And that's I think that goes along with the clutch and the fact that it's on an E85.
All right, I'm gonna road a second.
Bring it up to about 25 and stomp it. There you go. And you were short shifting it too.
Short shifting it. Yeah.
Short shifting.
So this thing, I've noticed, it is more free revving than my brother's. It seems like, right?
Yep.
So it really, wow, listen to that leg maker.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it really wanted to go up in the RPMs for us. Where's this thing redline at?
So normally on a Hellcat they'll rev to about 62, but tuner did a great job with my tune, and this one it revs to about 68, 69, and that's about the limit for these motors before you start tearing into them. But man, I mean, feeling a Hemi, a supercharged Hemi rev out that high, it feels wrong. I mean, it's unreal.
Guys,
I mean,
and I can tell you this thing, I was short shifting it and it was pulling the entire time.
It'll pull all the way up to the red line, and I mean, it's a feeling. I know the camera won't put that into perspective, but I can tell you firsthand, being in the driver's seat and the passenger seat, it is unreal how hard this car pulls.
But I can say for sure, at no point did I ever feel a loss of control. Obviously, we were spinning, right?
Yep.
We were spinning, and the car was doing its dance, but the front felt very planted, very well composed, like the car told you everything you need to know on how to handle it. So, again, now, that said, don't go out buying these cars and disrespecting them.
Yes,
right?
that's something we got to make clear.
Yes, frankly, if you don't know how to drive, you're learning how to drive, is this a car for you? No, absolutely not. It is, because I think it is so comfortable, right?
It's deceiving.
It's deceiving, and it will put you in a bad spot. That said, for you guys that are in the market or thinking about it, this car clearly needs to be in a consideration with anything else that's considered.
Yeah, I think anybody that's in the market that is in that demographic of, hey, I want to be, you know, a weekend warrior where I can go do some racing and have some fun, but also have a car that I can drive every day and enjoy thoroughly. And, you know, I could take this thing on a cross-country road trip if I wanted, you know, but still have all the horsepower that you could ever need. This is the one to have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not that I don't like a Mustang, that I don't like a Camaro. This is what I would have. I would never pick anything else.
Well, and I think we have a unique perspective, you know, in that we're the Kaiju.Hunters. We have all that stuff available. Right?
I mean,
we've got the Camaros and the Mustangs, and we'll be bringing some of that stuff to you guys soon, right? But I think, again, we're in a position where we can give that type of opinion because we've experienced these types of cars. We have them in our arsenal. And this one, if I was going to say which one would I pick up every day, right? A fast car that I pick up every day and say, I want to go get groceries, it's to be very comfortable, very well taken care of, I would say I would pick a manual Hellcat all day, no questions asked.
There you go. All right, guys. So thanks again for tuning into the Kaiju.Hunters YouTube channel. This has been our should you or should you not full bolt on your Hellcat video, and I hope you guys enjoyed the content. If you ever want to see any more content of Panthro and Ironsides, let us know what you want to see, what you want to do. If you want to see some track times between the two cars, we can make that happen. But we have plenty of other content to bring you guys. As you can see, we got some cool stuff in the backyard here. If you want to see any of these cars, let us know. We also have some more cool stuff, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you next time.